Had to stream. There we go. Finally. Okay. Welcome. I'm so sorry. You probably heard me cuss. I apologize. I hate technical issues, but we're here and we're getting ready to go. And we have some great guests for you tonight. We're going to talk Bigfoot with Sean and Sherry tonight. And they run, as I put on the chat thing, they run the Bigfoot evidence page on Facebook. So I'm really eager to talk with them. So without further ado, let's get on with this, shall we?
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Let me get closer. There we go.
There. We're husband and wife. We can get close.
I got the wrong headbuds in. This is how my night's been. I've had technical issues. The computer wasn't starting up. I was getting ready to switch to my cell phone, and then I had the earbuds in. I'm so sorry.
Can you hear us better now?
Yes, I hear you perfect now.
Okay, awesome.
How are you guys?
We're doing good. How are you doing?
It's great. It's wonderful. The weather's good, except for the rain, but we needed the rain anyway. But I mean, the weather's been really nice.
Definitely.
Yeah, we looked at the profile and we saw that you were in Sacramento, just like we are.
Fabulous. Fabulous. I have been interested in Bigfoot all of my life. I have, like, not every book, but I have some older books on it that I got up on Mount Rainier and stuff. And I was so glad to find you guys, to talk to.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to be here with you. I mean, that we are a little bit more of we're bringing information to people,
Sure.
Getting that out there. But this guy, he's been out on a lot of research stuff, especially at the Sierra Kill site, the Justin Smea site.
Right.
Yeah, that was when I was doing the Bigfoot evidence blog. It was on Blogspot, and there was a lot of drama. There's a lot of gossip, and that was a couple of years ago. And I tell you what, all that gossip and drama, you can only handle so much. So I was like, I just want to report Bigfoot sightings,
Awesome.
But yeah,
report the news.
It's much more relaxing.
Just like me, report the news. There we go.
Yeah.
So tell me, like you say, you've been on hunts, obviously, for it. What do they do during those hunts? Because a lot of people see, they see that stuff on TV, but they don't realize what goes on.
All right. Sherry, because I've been on a lot of these hunts, and that was a couple of times. I think Sherry, she's a normie. Sherry's a normie. And what do you think about our expedition when we go to these sites, Sherry? Like, what do you see? Like, what are people like?
You know what? You always have a few particular people there. You have the people that are more about the adventure itself. You have the people that are the hardcore believers, and then you have the people that are more of a hardcore skeptics. And it's always nice if you have all three of those people together. It makes for a lot of fun to watch how they do this stuff. You've got the hardcore believers that go out there and they're willing to take the time to go deep in and find things. And then you've got the skeptics that's kind of pushing back so that way there's balance there. Because it can be easy to just always be like, hey, this frog over here sounds like a Bigfoot. And then and if you just have nothing but skeptics, then a really strange sound in the middle of the night, they're like, no, that's nothing. So you need both.
Okay.
And that's what I noticed out there when I was just observing how they do things. And then the adventure people, they're the ones that are like, you heard something over there? Okay, I'm going to go down that cliff. You've got those people.
Oh yeah, us adventure people. The axe that we bring to cut wood. We're like out there,
This guy's a little bit more of the adventure guy.
There's some pretty crazy stuff that goes on. So it's some of these expeditions, and yeah, we can get into that later if you want.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, a friend of mine was wanting to join BFRO, and he had showed me the handbook, and some of the stuff in there is pretty wild that they have people do. Because I thought about, I don't know,
Yeah, they have to set parameters, There's a lot of rules when you go out with these people, because a lot of people actually they spend a lot of money getting prepared and just this is their adventure, and this is kind of like their vacation, and you can't have one person just spoiling it for everybody. sometimes you get really obnoxious people,
Okay.
people who just mean, or maybe somebody who brings like a weapon like they're not supposed to,
Right.
that's these parameters. But that's one parameter. That's another thing that I kind of disagree with when you go out with some of these people, is that you go out there with these the what do you call it, the night vision
Sure.
cameras, and they have the infrared, right, which you can't see. Human beings can't see them, but the infrared spectrum, um, the animals can, right? I
Right.
mean, you can. So I have one of these really high power infrared thing. I can't see them,
Right.
but the Bigfoot researchers, they can see him. They're like, hey, I can see that. I was like, are you sure? Because I can't see it. And I think they're beginning to have Bigfoot vision after being out there for a while, because I can't see these things. So we're not allowed to shine our infrared light just anywhere, because I got this infrared
Right.
filter that Sherry got for me.
Yeah, basically what we did is that since we know that these cameras, if you have just a regular camera that can record in night vision, you need to be able to project light out there for it to be able to record anything. So I came up with an idea a long time ago, and I have a massive mag light, and I got some IR filter to put on the end, and they were able to do recording. I think it was with a Canon camera, but do the nighttime recording with it using that light. And you can't see the light coming through the IR filter, but the hardcore, people that are anti-IR lights, they're like, no, turn it off.
Yeah, they believe that one of the reasons why it's really hard to capture any Bigfoots on a game cam. The game cam, they operate using that light, infrared light.
Yeah.
They think that the Bigfoots, they can see the game cams emitting infrared light. Like it flashes like every couple of seconds or 15 seconds or something like that.
Whenever it detects motion,
Oh, yeah.
I guess, or
So
something.
it flashes, and they think that the Bigfoots avoid this, avoid these cameras because they can see them, And I didn't really believe that these trail cams were emitting light that powerful. I don't know. I just didn't really believe it. Okay, I was a newbie.
Right.
But so they gave me the goggle, the night vision goggle, and they say, point your camera over there. I didn't know where. This is at night, and I can actually see the light flashing from the game cam. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and if you watch the animals that would normally come out at night on game camera things, when they take the picture, they're like, oh, hey, so they obviously are seeing something. And I guess it's a bit of a thing between Bigfoot researchers about whether Bigfoot can or Bigfoot can't.
Yeah, it's a debate.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So this page you have on Facebook, like you say, it's evidence. Where do you get the evidence to post on there, or the news to post on there?
We just keep an eye out online, do a lot of just going through stuff, watching videos. I have watched so much videos, and you kind of get to the point where you can do it pretty fast, but it's a lot of time consumption to be able to find these reports out there, because there's a lot of people out there that find something that looks really legitimate, but they're like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah, we actually get a lot. You just can't read them all. There's so many, but we just randomly go through and just kind of like do a shake, and just pick out one randomly, because we get so many, and some of them is pretty questionable. And I think sometimes you get these trolls that make up these stories, and hoping that you post them. You can tell it almost plays like a movie, but you can tell which one are legitimate, because they give a lot of information. But it's hard though. It's hard because some people, they think everything's a Bigfoot.
Sure.
Yeah. But there's sometimes that we'll hear videos with howls on it, but we can kind of that you can identify the type of howl, and you're like, okay, probably not. But for a lot of people, they're like, that is definitely a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But they kind of skipped over checking what animals would make those noises in their area first.
Yeah. And but there are some rare occasions though when people send us videos of actual bipedal creature, furry and everything. Was that one, that Salt Fork one? We were the first one to get that video. You remember that one?
Yeah. So there are some that you look at it and you're like, okay, that looks pretty legit there. And so we post those ones. But yeah, it's basically the way that we get all these is a lot of just scrolling through stuff, digging through, and then people send us stuff too.
Yeah, that was a recent one that someone sent us last week. And this one was from Alberta, Canada. And maybe you want to tell a story.
Yeah, I guess they were up at a lake, and you can see like a large dark figure up on the side of the mountain. And when you look at other photos of that area, there's no large dark tree there. So obviously there's something large and dark there, and they recorded it for a little while. And that area also happens to be a place that a lot of really good reports came out of. So that's one that we did a separate video about, and we shared that one. And that was Trent Chief.
Yeah, Trent Chief.
He's the person who shared that with us.
He was just out hiking with his brother, I think, or his friends. And
yeah, I think it was hiking and fishing, or fishing. I can't remember exactly what he was doing because I care more about the Bigfoot there.
Yeah, and they look up on this mountainside. It's like dark, massive thing. We put a video up on our Facebook, but they said it was there for a while. So I asked him for more information. He hasn't responded yet. Like I just want to know like how did it move? Like that.
Right.
And that, because it looks like they were close enough to get a pretty good look at it with their eyes, but they record with their phone, and things on the phone that don't show up really clear at all.
Right.
Unless you have the new iPhone, the one, the Pro Max.
Yes.
It's really good. Sherry just got one last week, and we tested it out. Man, that zoom on that thing, it's really cool because normally when you zoom in with a camera phone, it's really shaky, because you like really tight onto something. But with this new one, it keeps it stable. I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive.
Well, that's why I was real disappointed in the iPhone 11 because they took the zoom away.
Oh,
There's
they
hardly any
did?
zoom on it. Yeah, the iPhone 11 the zoom's not there. They designed it wide angle,
Oh, okay.
so you lose your zoom. So you physically got to do the zoom, and the zoom really sucks on it. So
Yeah, they improved it a lot. So hopefully as we go through a few years of people slowly integrating into whatever camera is in this one, hopefully we'll start seeing some better zoomed in footage. I mean, that's what I'm always hoping for. I'm really, really hoping all the time. Yes, we can get really good footage at one point.
Yeah. Many times, a lot of these Bigfoot footage that people send us,
right.
they normally send it to us first, and then it goes mainstream, like it goes viral. There's that Lettuce Lake one, that Skunk Ape one. What was it? And there's that Provo Canyon Bigfoot one. There's so many, but the quality is so bad, and just up to interpretation. But if we can just get the quality just a little clearer, there wouldn't be any dispute. But there's always dispute,
Oh yeah, the ones I thought were kind of cool were the ones that that the highway company got. Which transportation company was that?
Oh, the Washington.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the one that was that was up on their traffic camera.
Yes.
Yeah, that one. I think you shared that one.
Yeah, I did. I forgot how. Was it pretty clear in that one? Let me look at it. I did an article on that one, and that one. Yeah, we shared it on our page, and it really picked up,
Yeah.
Yeah, but hopefully, I mean, the
Yeah,
thing
I see
is,
it. Yeah.
these, the Washington State Department of Transportation one.
Yeah, it's the one where it's like behind a tree,
Yeah.
right? Um, yeah, that one's weird.
Well, hopefully, as we get along further with people having better cameras, we'll be able to
Right.
start seeing more footage like that that is a lot better. Because there's times that that they send me a video, and I can see that there's something moving there. I
Mhm.
can see the movement from side to side, and it kind of and it looks like it could be something. It looks like it could be a tall something, but
Right.
because of the way that the quality of the camera is, it's very severely pixelated and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard for me to be like, hey, everybody, look at these pixels. They're moving. See? And it's a little bit harder to explain and defend it, and let people know, hey, this is something that looks like it's odd, and you
Yeah.
should take a look at it.
Yeah, what's really weird about that was that it's a government camera,
Mhm.
and the government officials up there in Washington, some of them actually come out and they say these things are out there. They they're not shy. Sometimes they say it jokingly,
Yeah.
which makes you wonder if they're like trying to protect their jobs, or something. But this is like a tongue in cheek kind of thing.
Right.
The news reporters love to report on Bigfoot that way. It's like, they're just trying to make fun of people, but not really. I don't know. That's how they report on Bigfoot. I hate how they report on Bigfoot.
What got you guys interested in all this?
Well, man, it was the Monster Crest thing, on History Channel.
Yeah.
I think it was right after we came home from Mount Rainier trip. But before I get there, I like the Monster Crest thing, with Dr. Meldrum. He did
Yeah.
the Snell Lake thing where they put the nail on the board in front of the doorway,
Right.
and something came and stepped on it and entered the house, right?
Right.
And just trashed the entire house. And then there was another one. They got the cameraman and just a crew, the Monster Crest crew. Just, I don't know where they were, but they were in the forest. But they were just packing up or just getting things ready, and something threw a rock at them. I was like, wow, bears don't throw rocks,
Right.
And I was like, man, this is mind blowing, And so me and Sherry, we know about Mount Rainier. How there's so many reports from Mount Rainier, and we took the family, just me, her, and the kids,
Mhm.
and they were like tiny at the time, and we drove a really tiny car, and we drove them. What? How many hours did it take? It took a long time.
It was a long time. Basically, we broke it up into 2 days.
Yeah, so we drive up there to Mount Rainier, and it was like at 5 o'clock, and they leave. The rangers leave,
Uh-huh.
and it seems like when we got there, the ranger was like, he felt like it looked like he had some kind of fear in him, right? Like he just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah, because the thing is that prior to this trip to Mount Rainier, it's always been more like, oh, it's stuff that's on TV and stuff like that. That's stuff that he was watching, that we were watching, and it was just, kind of that stuff. But the thing that kind of sealed it for us was up there at Mount Rainier. I mean, that was like the first time that I had that get the hell out of Dodge feeling in the forest. And we had just taken the kids on a loop. It was at the Carbon River Ranger Station. And that place is, the ranger's gone at night. It was dark in there. We walked around and we just got out, and it was a very bad feeling. And the thing is that we'd been watching all this stuff, people saying, oh, you get a bad feeling and stuff like that. And so we were just like, that kind of thing. Since you do the California haunt stuff, I mean,
Right.
the same feeling if you're in a haunted house. It's like that same dang feeling, and the kids were having it. We were having it, and so we just got in the car after we did our little quick walk around and got out of there. The ranger was just like, there's nobody here. I'm leaving, So he was just like, kind of giving us a little bit of a, okay, if you want to, you can go walk around, but
yeah, I do remember. So when we got home, it was like a couple days later. I was on watching the news, and I saw that it was like a viral video. It was a no, it wasn't viral yet. It only had like one view.
Uh-huh.
I think it was me, and somebody filmed like a Bigfoot, like a juvenile Bigfoot. There's somebody named Samantha. It was near a college. I think it was in Oregon or something. I don't know. It was a long time ago, and it was like they were going down to the river. She was filming. It was like somebody in front of her just walking down to the river, and all of a sudden, this dark figure just runs right past them, and it was a really good shot too. And it was like the whole clip was like maybe 7 seconds. This is like in 2010 maybe.
Yeah, it would have had to have been a long time.
Yeah, a long time ago. And yeah, I think I was the only one who viewed that video. So I put up a blog post, I named it Bigfoot Evidence, right? And I blogged about it. And then what happened after that was it just blew up. Just people just came to my blog, and then all of a sudden the news caught on with it. And all of a sudden people were just looking for this Samantha girl. I think she was a college student at the time. But one thing I learned over the years about these people who film these videos, they don't want to be known. They don't have anything to gain,
Right.
Yeah, they just want to hide as much as possible. I mean, I think they finally found her, and they interview her, but they just interview her from the neck down. yeah, and after that, there was just more and more of these videos being captured on YouTube. So I just blocked about every single one of them, and then about 4 months later, because there were so many videos of Bigfoot just being captured and put on YouTube. I don't know if they're hoaxes or anything. I just report them as is, but I just let other people just decide on their own. I think that's my byline. I said I'm providing information and let people decide. That's what I put in my blog. And then 4 months later, there's a promo on Animal Planet for finding Bigfoot, And I was like, yes, Bigfoot's popular right now, And I remember when the show aired, our blog just blew up because we because by that time we were just blogging about everything Bigfoot, every new video that's out there. So it's pretty funny because before every new episode comes out, I just have to see like a second of the clip of the preview, and I know which video that was. So when on my blog, I was like, "Hey guys, today's episode is going to be about this video," and you heard what I said about this video, what our thoughts are about this video, and just people just came to my blog just to read about what the episode is going to be about. Even though the episode hasn't aired yet, I knew exactly what it's going to be about. So I was pretty aware of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean the nice thing is that with Finding Bigfoot, that show, people got to see that when people are going out there, there's people doing legitimate research style techniques. It's not just you sit there and you say, "Oh, I heard something." No, they're out there with parabolic dishes. They've got long-term recording microphones out there. They're going out there with trail cams. They're actually doing more of what people would consider absolutely legitimate research, gathering data and information about these areas. And so people got to see that it was more than just somebody on their back porch saying, "I heard a Bigfoot."
Right.
and that's what I think was really great about the Finding Bigfoot show.
What are some of the most memorable accounts that you guys have received that you put on your site?
Oh goodness. I mean, for us, Lettuce Lake Bigfoot, that was a really big one.
Yeah, the one where the guy's in a canoe and he's just fishing. And he sent me the video, right? I thought it was a hoax.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, people hoax me all the time, and I catch them, you know. But this guy, his name was Mike. What's his name? Mike something, and he sent me this video, and first all I hear is like just water splashing around, and then he zooms into this figure. This figure is hopping around in the swamp, and then this figure picks up a snake, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to stuff like this guy, it's kind of funny. He's got almost photographic memory. So if you kind of describe to him, we have people that just send a message, say, "Hey, Sean, what this and this and this happened in a video. When was that, or where was that?" And he can usually pull it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one, like I said, I hear stories all the time, but I love seeing videos, And that video, it blew me away. I mean, the news talked about it too. And this guy Mike, he just disappeared, So Discovery Channel, and all these different networks, they contact me and say, "Hey, can you get us in touch with this person? We want to use his video in our broadcast." And so every month I get a request, for so they can have the rights to it. But I said I don't own the video, But Mike said I can do whatever I want with it. And I said, well, that's not good enough, We need we need it from him,
Right.
So there's this search for this guy Mike. I have his last name, but he doesn't respond anymore or anything. So that's the thing about the people who film him. They don't want to have anything to do with anything, But the encounter that touched me the most is the one that I'm really close to, that I've been to. The Mothway expedition is about the hunter, the bear hunter that shot a Bigfoot, or two Bigfoots, shot two Bigfoots, and that got me really excited, because I'm like, you know what? I feel bad he shot the Bigfoot, but there's evidence. If he said he shot it and he put the body somewhere underneath the bush, there's evidence out there. And this is a couple years ago, and we went back to that place, I think, for 4 years, just walking miles and miles up and down the mountain. Just maybe the snow washed the body or the skull down somewhere, and you're just hiking all over the place. And yeah, this one you probably heard a lot about, and it's been on TV and everything. What's crazy is that when I was blogging about it, we were all trying to find who this person was and where, like where they live, at least. And I remember for like months, people like just rumors and stuff like that. But then one day, word got out that about his name. It was Justin, and we looked him up, and he lives in Citrus Heights, just like 4 miles from where we were.
Well, I don't think it's Citrus Heights, but it's in Sacramento County area. So he's a very nice guy. I know that there's some people that just they have a very negative view of him, but we've been around him, been around his family, very nice people. Definitely I think he's a nice person to be around and stuff. And so we've been up to that site a few times, and this guy way more than me. He's been up there for big trips, and there's some interesting stuff that happens up there, and it's weird. It's a weird area.
Yeah.
I mean, before drones were popular, people were seeing lights out there, just kind of moving around and stuff, and there's nobody out there. except for like one rancher who has like goats or sheep or something or cattle. I don't know.
Mhm.
So there's nobody out there, but there's weird stuff that happens
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, and we did film something up there. It was just a Bigfoot just walking around on thermal. We have a video on it was on the not on our channel. It's one of our friends' channel, and yeah, we have thermal footage of this thing just walking around and throwing like a rock at a tree,
Okay.
like that,
Yeah,
a horizontal projectile.
Yeah, you see something go flying off to the side, and for me that was like the thing that kind of made me say whoa, because it's not like bears are out there chucking rocks,
Right.
and there's deer out there, but really the only thing that a deer could project is manure. So I was like, either that's a deer just shooting manure out its rear end or something through something.
Yeah, rock throwing is one of the telltale signs, of a Bigfoot encounter, because, like I said, that Monster Quest thing where they threw a rock
Right.
at the camera crew, to see a rock being thrown on a thermal imager, that gives you razor hair in the back of your neck,
Right.
because that's really ape-like, throwing things like that.
Yeah. So since he was so tied in with that one's like the big one for him and for us, especially since we've been up there. The kids and I have been up there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really creepy place, and in that whole mountain, there's no cell phone reception anywhere. But in that one spot where we camp at to do a research, there's cell phone reception. When you go anywhere else, there's nothing.
Right.
Maybe a UFO crash landed there. I don't know. But there's some weird things going on. Like I don't want to say orbs, but there's like lights in the trees sometimes. And like I said, when we go up there, there's a skeptic, and there's actually a lot of skeptics. Actually, they just want to see what this whole thing's about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of weird when this light thing happened. I wasn't there, but I know my skeptic friend was there, and other Bigfoot researchers were there. But the skeptic, he was like, that's weird, But I tell you what, if you were a paranormal researcher, you'd be like, that's an orb, or
it's dust.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and you would start recording it, right?
Oh yeah,
That's
I push the button, definitely.
Yeah, they said he was up there for 15 minutes in the trees, going around and around like that. And I said, guys, no one recorded this. And maybe they were trying to. Maybe I don't know. I would have recorded it. Shoot, man. But no one's up. I mean, this is like in the middle of nowhere, right, Sherry? Like,
yeah,
nowhere.
And the thing that's interesting about that particular sighting and that location is that now that it's been a while, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, we don't believe it. We don't believe it now. But, kind of like how after you hear a story a lot, sometimes people start disbelieving it. The thing in the past year, another person who he does a podcast, right?
Oh, yeah. Josh.
Yeah. He actually spoke to a person who had a terrifying sighting very close to that area, and also it was around that same time that
the same summer actually.
Yeah,
no,
I think
it was in October. Justin.
Yeah, Justin.
But this guy had the encounter in August.
Yeah,
right.
And it was like he got chased out of there.
Yeah, these two sightings were told like 6 years apart, I believe. But no, more than 6 years, maybe like 10 years apart, maybe.
Time melds
for
us.
Okay, they were told maybe let's say 9 years apart. They were told 9 years apart, but they happened within the same vicinity, within like a 4-month range.
Yeah,
time span.
It's very, very tight.
Yeah, and span. If anyone has any doubt what happened, with our friend Justin, who shot a Bigfoot. With this story that just came out of nowhere, I wasn't expecting this. My friend, he just started a new podcast like this couple months ago. He said, "Hey, Sean, listen to this," but he didn't really make the connection. Okay,
Yeah.
but I did because I pay attention to Bigfoot, these Bigfoot stories. So I listened to the podcast, and this story was from a lawyer, and this happened in Gold Lake. So this lawyer was taking his daughter on an ATV ride down to Gold Lake, I believe, and they just had a feeling like something was watching them, and then they heard like just what did they hear? They like screams or something.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
but
I gotta listen.
there was something that caught their attention.
Yeah. Well, anyways, this thing came and made itself known, and he said this thing was so massive and it gave off this smell. He said you can't forget the smell, and he said it's very descriptive. He's a lawyer. This guy who saw it,
Sure.
something about smelling like the tar on a roof or something like that. He says very unforgettable. And if you ever want to know like a full description of this smell, this lawyer he had it. He had it. He very descriptive. But anyways, he got out of there, and for him, there's like, man, these things exist. But and then I heard when he had the sighting, I was like, he had in August, and after he had the sighting, he went to a this town called Sierra City.
Okay.
And Sierra City, they have like restaurants and stuff there, and he told people what he saw, and I forgot what they said. They didn't.
I can't remember either. That I paid more
But
attention.
he did tell people what he saw. But anyways, so listening to this story, I'm like, man, this is big. This is big because this tells me that something is going on near Gold Lake, and something did get shot. And if it was a Bigfoot that got shot, it was probably related to that Bigfoot that this lawyer saw. But yeah, I don't know. That to me kind of solidified the whole thing, the whole connection. Yeah, like something definitely. I mean, it's like you got two Bigfoot stories. I don't know. It's in
the same area and same time period and stuff. So it's it definitely, it solidifies Justin's story for us because it kind of confirms that, hey, other people are having sightings in this area at that time.
Yeah.
So that's the question I have is when you look at these reports, coming into you, is there any particular areas that stand out more than others?
My gosh. I mean, there's I don't know. Have you ever seen any of the David Paulides the films? There's hotspot areas
He makes me not want to go hiking.
You know what? I like when they mention that it's about and around caves. And so it's kind of added to my whole thing that when somebody sends us a report and stuff, and I like to look and see, is there cave systems nearby? Like the Alberta video that we did. That one, you've got two mountains kind of side by side, and the Bigfoot is filmed on one. The next mountain over, I think it was Cold War or World War II. I can't remember when it was. It's been a while though. But the government drilled caves into that mountain as like a bunker, but they never used it. And so it's kind of interesting. No clue for certain if that's why, but I don't know. It kind of it makes me think about looking at caves and stuff like that.
Right.
And the David Paulides stuff, it kind of shows that that's rather tight together. But
for those that don't know,
that makes me scared too.
For those who don't know about David Paulides, he has tracked missing persons, mostly out in the wilderness, different like state parks and whatnot. And sometimes they find these people, they find the bodies, they'll find the bodies like not even within 2 miles away after searching for days and days. And sometimes they don't have shoes on, sometimes they don't have clothes on, and they can't figure out what happened to them. So that's what makes it so creepy.
You know what? Have you seen the latest one, the hunted one?
No.
Oh, okay. Watch that one. Then you'll never go hiking again. I promise. Because you'll be like, all these hunters are disappearing.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it scares me. I love listening to it. I mean, it's just that you have to listen to. But then after I do it, I just don't want to be out in the wilderness at all anymore.
You know what? And that's one thing that I've kind of mentioned quite a few times is that when we're out and about, especially because we still have kids that are under 18. So if I get a bad feeling, I don't go any further. And so I'm probably never going to record a Bigfoot myself because the second I get a bad feeling, I'm like, no, I'm gone. You know, you're getting a bad feeling for a reason. I mean, that, you know, with ghost hunting, bad feeling, bad things happen.
Right.
And so, you know, if something's giving me a bad feeling, I want to be out of there.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. So what's the fascination? I mean, Sean, you want to go out and find these things. Why?
You know what? It's kind of weird because people report, people who've never seen a Bigfoot, they all report the same like physique. You know, they all report the smell. They report the jet black. If for the black Bigfoot, it's like jet black. I never heard the term jet black until I started reading Bigfoot reports. You know, I still don't know what jet black is.
It's black.
It's very black.
It's like it's not like it's mixed in with like reddish brown.
Yeah.
It's very black.
Like lights off in a cave black.
Yes, that's a good description.
Yeah, and then you're like, okay, you know, they talk about no neck, broad shoulders, right? And you're like, they're reporting the same thing. Why are we reporting the same thing? I'm like, could it be bears, right? But I think people know what bears look like, don't they? I mean, so I'm like, why is this creature not been captured yet? Like, where are the bones, right? And if let's say that you can't find any bones, but why are people seeing the exact same thing in every single one of these reports? You know, I swear I read so many of them because we need to do a research. You know, when we put out these reports, and every single one's reporting the same shape. What is it like? Is it people can't possibly describe the same thing if they haven't heard about it, you know?
Yeah.
From somewhere else.
I think with the whole thing about it is just that the interest in it is that it's solving a mystery. You know, you've got people who are, you know, that they're out in the woods or they're out out on the farm. They know what animals look like. They're familiar with what they see coming through, and then something comes through and they don't know what it is. That's when you say, okay. You know, I mean, if you've got Bob, who's been in the mountains his whole entire life, he's 89 years old, and he says, I saw something walking on two legs. It had no neck. It was covered with fur, you know, and he's like, not a bear. Then you're like, okay, Bob, I believe you because you spent 89 years in these woods and you know what a bear looks like.
Yeah. And, you know, every day we look through our video feed. Could we get a list of, you know, new Bigfoot videos that people put up on YouTube? And we always try to see if there's something out there, you know, that could be like real, you know. But there's a lot of fake ones out there. And so every day I'm like looking, you know, is this it? Is this a good one? But it's very hard, you know. But there's some rare ones, like the one if you notice the very popular videos do go viral on the news and stuff, those are the good ones. Those are the best ones.
Mm-hmm.
But the sucky ones, they don't go viral. We have a few sucky ones on our YouTube channel. I mean, people don't watch them, but man, the good ones though, man, they get like 1 million views. So
Mhm.
people can tell which ones are the good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, usually what makes them sucky is just the camera quality.
Right.
Either they zoomed in and it's severely pixelated, or the camera did a bad job of tracking, because a lot of people, they don't understand how a camera works, why a video may not come out very well, and so it makes it easy for people to dismiss and say, oh well, they kept moving the camera because they didn't want you to see that it's real. But they don't realize that if you zoom in just like a little teeny tiny, just like a hair's breadth move, and you're completely off whatever you zoomed in on. So
Right. How many videos do you get a day, do you think, that come in from people?
Well, like I said, we got a feed that's set up that I'm a programmer, so I have this algorithm that just shows me every Bigfoot video that people upload,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of them is just audio, and there's at least 2 or 3 videos that are pretty good, but they're not like actual footage. But there's like a lot of vocalization, and I've heard just about every single one of them. Sometimes I hear frogs in the video, and some people say that's a Bigfoot. No, it's not. It's a frog. And,
That brings me back to something. I interviewed a guy a couple years ago who not worked on a sonora, but would go up and record what he thought were Bigfoot. And they almost sounded Asian when when they were talking about. I don't know if you've heard that guy. I can't remember his name.
Yes. Okay. You heard the Sierra sound, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm from Laos,
Okay.
and I have an accent, when I
Not to be insulting, I just it
yeah,
sound Asian.
I have an accent. But when I talk with my my mom and dad in Laos, Sherry can hear this. It has a very distinct tone.
Yeah, and
Right.
it's funny because remember how we were mentioning about up at that site that he was at, and they were recording and they got the walking and the rock throwing. He was actually up there speaking in Lao to see if that happens, because it sounds very close. Like, for example, why don't you say, my name is Son, I have 3 kids.
How about this? I'll tell you. Why don't I just say what I said out there?
Yeah.
Okay. I told the Bigfoots in my language to come eat, right? I said, Viking cow, right? I said that. And I just say it out loud, like multiple times. I say other things too, like, come here in my language, like money, just come here. And because I just want to do an experiment, because when I heard the Sierra sounds, it's not my language, but it sounds like my language,
The tones.
The tone.
And
Right.
like kind of the forcefulness, like that, I don't know, like try saying more of like a full long sentence. Like say, these are my friends, I'm going to the store.
Okay. Koisi by Dalat, or something like that. That's I'm
Right.
going to the store. Okay.
And so if he's yelling that out,
Yeah, if I'm yelling it out, it sounds
a lot like the Sierra sounds. So
Right.
so because of the Sierra sounds, that's why he was up there speaking his language, and they got that footage.
Yeah.
That night.
Yeah, it was that same night that we got that footage. But it does sound Asian to me when I hear the Sierra sounds.
Yes.
Have you heard that before? Like, it sounds Asian. And for me, it sounds pretty Asian, but I wonder how many people else, think that. But what Scott Nelson, the guy who did the interpretation, he did a really good job, And yeah, that's an actual language, and so I wanted to test that out, my theory that
Right.
maybe they're, because if Remember, it was the Native Americans up in Canada, up north, that had these stories of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, right? We call him
Right.
Bigfoot, Sasquatch.
Right.
And look, I think they crossed the land bridge. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, it's the reason why we kind of lean towards that.
Mm-hmm.
For example, we've had him do a full DNA test, and it's kind of funny when you do the DNA thing. If you're from a lesser studied country like Laos is, I guess more
Right.
people have their DNA out there. But it's funny, his came back saying either Southeast Asian or Native American. So they actually label him as possibly Native American because you can, because of that connection there.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they did follow along with the Asian people that moved along that land bridge, it would make sense that they
Mm-hmm.
would be more familiar with maybe some of the tonal languages that are coming out of Asia.
That makes sense. That's what I was going to ask you guys. What do you think these things are? You think they're a missing link, or you think they're that was left behind or survived, or what do you think?
For me, I think it's more of a missing link kind of thing, because
Mm-hmm.
if you look at how things go, you have a tree, but there's lots and lots of branches.
Sure.
Maybe we all come from the core trunk, but maybe we went off on this branch and they went off on this branch, and so they retain all the hair and the different build than us,
Uh huh.
but maybe we're still related. And that kind of goes along with when people find evidence that is able to be tested, they kind of say, oh, it looks like it could be human, but
Mhm.
it's not like they really can dig too deep into it.
Yeah.
And so it usually gets dismissed as human, but I kind of wonder how far they went into sequencing it to find out, for certain, hey, was
Yeah.
this a person from Europe? Was this a person from Asia? Or is it a person that you do not identify at all?
Yeah. That's the most interesting is that when they test out the samples, it comes back human, and scientists just dismiss it. It's just human. Okay, let's move along. Um, but you know what? The thing with the genetics is that even us human beings, we have genes sometimes that get turned on that gives us hair. Remember that
Right.
that thing you showed me about the blood thing?
Oh, I was showing him some of those birthmarks where they grow just basically a patch of hair on it. Not necessarily port wine stains. I can't remember what it was, but I was showing him that about how sometimes you can just have a patch of just solid hair that looks like an animal hair.
Yeah, it looks like an animal hair. Some people they get this thing on their bodies, and the extreme symptoms, they have like hair just coming out, just like apes. I don't know,
Right.
but I don't think that far off from human beings. People try to say Gigantopithecus and everything, but you know what? It doesn't take much um, modifications or something in your genes to have like a tail. It doesn't.
Right.
We're so close. We're just right there. It just takes a few genes being turned on, and you like become massive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or have
Well,
hair out of
well,
place.
look at chimpanzees. I mean, when they took a DNA class, college, or a high school DNA class, you can see the chromosomes and everything is only off by like one or two.
Yeah, they're very close to us. And so
Yeah.
if different such a different looking animal can be so close to us, then it's easy to see how maybe something just a smaller amount off, maybe instead of two off, it's only one off, but
Yeah.
it could be looking so much more different than us. And if they have hair, then they don't need clothes. We need clothes because we're cold.
Right.
If you get further down south, then you don't need clothes. Then you're just out there.
Yeah.
But for them, if they've got hair, they don't need clothes, so we wouldn't expect to see them clothing
Mm-hmm.
themselves.
Hmm.
But what's fascinating with it is that it's not just Northern California, it's not just Washington, it's not just Oregon. I mean, like you say, they're down south. I mean, they're clear across the United States in different spots. So
Yeah.
I mean, that was one massive migration when they came over, or a group came over and split.
Well, yeah. Well, that's why actually a lot of people, they kind of give us a bit of a hard time because we don't say Sasquatch, but we don't use that word because when you go outside of the U.S., people kind of familiarize themselves with the term Bigfoot. And
Mm-hmm.
so we kind of want to make our page more approachable for people to where they're like, oh, okay, they're talking about a large, the ape-like creature. And if you say Sasquatch, there's of course a lot of people that do recognize it, but like down in Laos, if you go down there and say, "Oh yes, that's a Sasquatch," they probably wouldn't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say like Bigfoot, there's a bigger chance that they'll know what you're talking about. And we want to encourage people from all these other areas to kind of share what they're seeing out there because it's not just the US, it's not just they're going down through the peninsula and down into South America. It's all over the world that they're having these kind of sightings. Maybe there's some size difference. Maybe there's a little bit of behavior difference. Maybe it's just like, for example, the orang pandek.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's
Yep,
just
China.
that's just a creature that that we haven't been out there and discovered yet. But for them, that's a Bigfoot for them. And so we use that word to kind of make it easier for a global audience.
Sean, have you seen any of the footprints at all, or have you seen it in the cast?
Yeah, when we were at that site where the Justin shot those Bigfoots, that was one morning. We woke up and there were, and this night there's quite a bit of action at night, but I didn't wake up though because just I'm scared. I don't want to get out of my tent. But yeah, there's some action around us. Like just movement. But I stayed in my tent the whole night. But when we woke up,
There's
and
nothing wrong with that.
yeah, I woke up and go take a leak somewhere, and it's in where all these trees are. These is it like pine trees or redwood trees? I don't know.
Pine trees, not
Pine
redwood
trees.
trees. Wrong area for redwood trees.
All trees are the same to me. So I look down and there's like footprints, right? Footprints, and there's like massive like that. They're just one after another, and they're like in the like a tightrope fashion,
Mm-hmm.
like one step after another, like it's like a line, like a straight line, very unlike a human. This one's like straight line. So I looked at it, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I was like, is someone trying to play tricks on me? Like they know I'm a blogger and I'm up here and they want me to blog about it. Is that why? Is that why these footprints are just all around me? Right? So I just look around, I was like, is someone laughing right now or what? Anyways, we actually ended up casting these footprints, and we let Dr. Jeff Meldrum take a look at it. He was at one of these conferences, one of the casted footprints. He said it was a bear, but I don't think so. Because to me, it just, if you just saw how it was laid out,
Yeah.
like the footprints, like the track, it was like just straight. I think he would have said it was like a Bigfoot, but maybe he doesn't want to tell people it's a Bigfoot because I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
he's got credibility. He's got a,
Yeah, and if you've got pine needles, it's hard to get a good track cast. You'll see these different photos of the tracks out there, and pine needles are probably the worst place to get a track from, but yet that's probably most likely what you're going to find a track in. So because the needles, they're not as malleable, they just they're stiff little sticks. But when you do see some footprints in the snow, you kind of just have to take it from the photo thing, because when you do of those, the casting material will heat up and there goes your footprint, that kind of thing.
Right.
So there's some complexities to that, and that's actually part of the reason why I upgraded my phone, because now I have a phone that has LiDAR on it. But I don't think we're going to have a lot of people with that technology yet out in the field, just coming across tracks. You'd have to have a very specific person that would be able to take a LiDAR image of a track on the ground,
right,
to be able to save that.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's funny. Dr. Jeff Meacham, when we showed him the cast, he didn't really just straight up say, "Oh, it's a bear." He just went through his scientific reasoning and stuff. I just I just didn't understand what he was saying. It was so like scientific, something about like not having a mid-tarsal break and stuff like that, and all these foot terminology that people aren't familiar with. But yeah, basically it wasn't a Bigfoot cast. He said, "I don't know, man. I don't know."
I haven't seen bears walk tight ropes. Basically, when they say it's a bear track, they're saying that it's a double step, so front foot, back foot. But bears aren't skinny; they're not. So when they walk, they still have a foot, and then over here you'll have a foot kind of thing if they're doing a double step. And so if I see it in a straight line, I'm more inclined to think, okay, this could really be something, because in pine needles, that just by looking at how that pathway is going, and it's just because of bear's anatomy. They don't go, they don't do that.
Yeah, that's the thing about Bigfoot, is that a lot of sightings and stuff, it does happen in bear country too. But it could be because they're fighting over the same resource, they eat berries and salmon. I mean, what?
Yeah.
That's I know it confuses people, but they're fighting over the same resource. That's what they do. But it doesn't mean like a Bigfoot sighting is a bear sighting. Especially if you hear from bear hunters, who should know what a bear look like, and they explain to you that it's not a bear, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Now my question is, the night that you didn't want I should go back to this. The night you didn't want to get out of your tent, could you hear noises and stuff going on, or were people just telling you there was stuff going on?
Okay. Let me explain to you what it's like going on a Bigfoot expedition. Is especially if there's a lot of Bigfooters around. Every noise, every snap of the branch, is that a Bigfoot? Is that a Bigfoot? Oh, what is that? Oh, I just heard stumps. Like, just like earthquake, everything. It's like that all the time. And then, when things happen at night, we call it, we had action, when it's quiet, it's boring, So I think this alert, their sense of alert is heightened, like really heightened. They can hear everything, man. They can see in the dark, and they can hear things like 10 miles away. And so when I'm in the tent, when I'm going to bed, I'm tired because I'm walking around doing my thermal imaging, just trying to see what's out there. And you hear like, people like, oh, what is that? And you're just like, I'm going to sleep, I'll probably hear about it in the morning kind of thing. But, just one of those times look, there was one time something did come into our camp. Everyone chased it and came and got me. He opened up my tent and he pulled on my leg. He said, "Son, there's something here." So he grabs his camera, because he left his camera in my tent, and started chasing after this thing. And they were like causing all these ruckus, and I was hearing like, "Hey, he went that way, he went this way, right?" And they're chasing it. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll get up. Okay, what is it now?" Put on my shoes, and you know what? It was something that night. They swore that it came through, and they were chasing it, but I didn't get a chance to chase it at all. But I stayed up the rest of the night. Didn't want to miss anything.
Yeah, he's kind of one of those people that once he's asleep, he's pretty out. So I can imagine how that was that night.
You know what? I'd be in the tent thinking of all the stories. That's what would happen to me.
Yeah,
I'd be thinking of all the times that people say, "Oh, just walking around the tent," or it opens the tent flap, sticks its head in. You know what I mean? I'd be sitting
yeah.
there just frozen, just thinking about all that.
Well, you know what? The speaking of like the tent stuff, we, oh gosh, it was a long time ago. And I can't remember the details on it, but I did a drawing for it because it was kind of funny. I guess there were some guys that were in a tent and they heard some water splashing, and I guess something was peeing on their tent.
Yikes!
Yeah.
So when I drew the image, it was a Bigfoot being like, yeah. But you know that I could imagine that kind of stuff maybe happens sometimes, and maybe people kind of dismiss it. But
Yeah.
I can't
Marking its
remember.
territory. That's all.
Yeah, and you're his territory, I guess.
Yeah, we when we used to do a storytelling on YouTube this a couple years ago, she used to do the illustration, the drawings and stuff. Now our videos we do CGI, it's a lot easier. But I remember that one. You had to draw somebody peeing on a tent.
Yes, but yeah, for the stories that we put out that we put out now that you'll see on the YouTube channel, those are ones that like, for example, when we mentioned before that there's people that they don't want to be associated with stuff.
Right.
And there's people that I'm like, oh my goodness, I would really, really like to share your story. And I'll be like, I promise, I won't tell anybody who you are. Even under torture, I promise, I will not disclose who you are, that kind of stuff. And they're still like, no, 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 no. But usually if I say, hey, if I change any kind of possibly identifying details and stuff like that, because there's something interesting that happened, I'm like, would you be okay if I did this as more of a story format? And usually when that happens, I'm presenting more about the behaviors, the stuff that they're doing that is very interesting. But since they won't let me just say, hey, this person at so and so had this happen in the city, that kind of thing. And so we kind of changed that up a bit to the kind of be able to share the story and the behaviors that are happening for people that are interested, for people that are researching. Maybe they've had this kind of stuff happen, and hopefully maybe later on they're like, hey, remember that story? I had that happen to me. And then maybe they'll actually be willing to share openly.
It's interesting when you read through all that stuff. I mean, there's book after book after book after book, on the topic. Mount Rainier, like you say, the first really good book I ever got was at the gift shop on top of Mount Rainier. It was a green book, the Bigfoot log book, right?
Yeah, that's the big area.
Some of the stories in there about like the guys that are tired and they pull their cars over on the side of the road to sleep, and they wake up and the car's shaking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll look in the rearview mirror and it's staring in at them. I mean, that's some scary stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot of stories of like Bigfoot approaching cars. There's one where this guy, I guess he ran out of gas, right? In his car, he ran out of gas, and it was really cold, and I forgot what happened, but he was like shaking his car, and then something approached his car and kept him alert like the whole night. Just kept him around, right? But anyways, when he the next morning, he somebody came and they got him. His mom said that Bigfoot saved my son's life, by keeping him awake, alert, because
right.
If you're not alert, you could die of hypothermia. You just go to sleep, cold. But that was a interesting Bigfoot car story.
I don't know if this is a Bigfoot car story, but I had somebody give me a call and I sent a couple of my people up on it, and it was up towards the Silver Lake area up here. And this guy had called me and said, well, he knew of this camping spot up there that he would go to. And he said it was odd because there were no trees around. And there was this big rock there. And he would just pull his pickup truck up, and camp, with the shell on the back. And when he was sleeping there at night, he would hear what sounded like acorns dropping on the roof of the truck.
Mm.
And he was too afraid to go out and look. But what
Mm-hmm.
he told me was that he would put his hiking boots outside of the camper shell at night. When he would get up in the morning, they were soaked.
Oh, okay.
And he didn't know why. And he said, well, coupled with the acorns, he wanted us to go up there and look around and see what was going on up there. And that's the first thing I thought. I said, did you find any kind of footprints or anything, outside that, might be something? No, I didn't see anything like that. I was too scared. So it's just stuff like that you run into. So who knows? I'm just saying, like, it kind of goes along with the throwing rocks thing, and it goes along with, like you say, the peeing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially if you're in a spot where you said there was no trees around, right?
Yeah.
I mean, where are the acorns coming from? Where's the pinging sound coming from? When you look at those kind of things, that's what kind of leads you to be like, hey, this is something that's a unique experience.
Yeah.
Once you kind of eliminate the obvious, then you're like, okay, this is different. And since there's no trees around, that definitely eliminated the obvious really quick.
Yeah, so that's why I had a couple of my people go up. I haven't heard back from them yet, but they actually went up there to look around and stuff before this winter hit. So I'm curious to see what they come up with.
Yeah, that would be fun to hear what they find. I mean, here for where we're at in the Sacramento area, it's pretty easy if you just go up the mountains a little way and you take a look at like the BFRO or on our website. You're able to see what kind of reports are out there. Sometimes it's easy to figure out where the encounter happened. Other times you got to dig a little bit more, but it's easy to go to these places and see where these encounters are happening. And then once you get there, you're like, okay, this was an odd one.
Yeah.
What they were experiencing doesn't make sense.
Oh, absolutely. Sonora is real. I mean, Sonora has a lot of sightings.
Yeah. Let's see, Sonora. You know what? I'm terrible about anything south of us. The Sonora, that's just south of Jackson area, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Just wanted to make sure I'm talking about the right region.
Yeah.
In the mountains?
Yeah, Calaveras big trees and stuff.
And all that, yeah.
Yeah, and that area is where Theodore Roosevelt went through, and there's a famous story that he relayed out there, and it's one of the more fascinating ones. But
that's one of the earlier accounts of Bigfoot.
Yeah, before people said, "Oh, hey, it's Patterson Gimlin," it's a Bigfoot. Before that,
right?
And
Absolutely.
So that area is a fun area to look at the stuff. And I think the Sierra Sounds came from that region.
Yes. Yeah. We
and that's on David Paulides.
Yeah, that place is a secret, but my friend who's really good. Okay, I know a guy. He's my friend now, but we kept this site where the guy shot the Bigfoot secret from the world, because we don't want people going in there, because basically we don't want people causing like noise that we're not aware of, So we want to know that it's just us up there.
We want to make sure there's no teenagers going up there and messing with us
and leaving footprints around my camp,
Right.
So this place is like secret, no one knows. But I was on a podcast, and we kind of mentioned briefly, or not precisely, but just in the area, and we had like a little Google map, but we didn't show the area. We just talked about some canyons or whatever. But just being very careful of not telling people exactly where it's at, But this guy, he listened to every podcast that everyone was involved in this project with. Listen, every podcast and ours and any video breakdown, and he nailed it down. He I guess one of our researcher friend went up to the site, like he normally does, and he saw him, and he said, "What are you doing here?" And, "Oh yeah, I heard about the guy," uh, but we became best friends with him. But so this same person, um, who's really interested in Bigfoot, said that he found a Sierra Sound site exactly where it was, and he says he doesn't want people to know because he knows how protective they are of this site. And he
Mm-hmm.
said that one of his friend um, emailed David Paulides about the site, like kind of saying, "Hey, I know where it's at, right?" And Dave Paulides says, "Okay, when you get to this once,
Or was it Moorhead?
Moorhead. It was Ron Moorhead.
Moorhead.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
That's who it was. Ron
Yeah.
Moorhead, yeah.
So he emails him, just to see if he's in the right spot. He emails Ron Moorhead and said, "Hey Ron, I know where the site is, And then Ron says, "Okay, you get to this spot, it's a very distinct spot. Do you make a left or right, right?" And then the guy says, "Oh, you make a left or something like that." And then the guy said Ron Moorhead never replied back to him,
Wow.
And then he said, "I know." I know I got the right spot, but anyway, but I interviewed my friend about this, and I asked him if I can share his journey and how he found the spot, and I actually got it on my phone, but I'm kind of afraid because I don't want Ron Moorhead coming after me.
Right.
So you can't review that site,
Well, and plus, if it's a hotspot area, you want to protect it.
Yeah, and preserve it.
Plus, on top of that, from what's been described to us, it sounds like an area that you do not want just amateur people going up to. I mean, the Sierra Nevadas, people die.
Yes.
If people are over on the East Coast, they're like thinking, oh, like the Appalachian Trail, some smooth areas, really well developed. The Sierras aren't like that. The Sierras, they'll kill you. That's just how they are. They're very jagged, very rocky. So, we definitely don't want to encourage people trying to head into that area without the skills to keep themselves safe up there. So that's probably one of those things that even if we make it up there ourselves, we'll still keep it quiet about where that is.
Oh yeah, it's understandable. Completely understandable. It's
Yeah.
interesting, like when you look at the like I said, the volume of reports that come out around our area here. I mean,
Mhm.
there's not a lot going on in Tahoe, which is surprising. The Tahoe
Yeah.
area. It
Yeah.
surprises me
Mhm.
because there's a lot of wilderness out there, desolation wilderness. The majority of it is centered in Sonora. But then as you start going up north, then you hit Willits, which
Mhm.
which tends to be active not all the time, but there have been just recently, a couple years ago, there were sightings up in Willits. And then the further north you get, the more active the sightings are.
Mhm.
Yes. Down in our area, I want to say it was on the North American Bigfoot Society website. They determined that for our area of California, like a certain elevation that these sightings seem to occur at, and that elevation, it kind of coincides with like Forest Hill and stuff like that. You know where Forest Hill is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of coincides with that. I can't remember what the number is or what the elevation number is, but it seems like they happen in that range when you get down south here. But once you go further north, I don't know if that elevation thing holds true.
Interesting.
But
Yeah.
But I think for down here, I don't know if they did an analysis on what season or what time of year that these
Right.
are occurring, but it could be that maybe that elevation during that time of the year is enough into the snow line that not a lot of people would be out and about, but it's far enough out of the snow that the Bigfoot isn't traipsing through 8-foot drifts, that kind of thing. So I kind of think that may have a lot to do with it. And then once it warms up enough, maybe they go further north. I'll have to double check on what they said on North American Bigfoot Society. But I remember when I read it, it made sense. I was like, okay, that sounds about right.
Another question I have too, I've been thinking about too, is the stories of the families of Bigfoot.
Hmm.
Where people have said sightings. Has there been anything in recent years like that where they've seen a family of them?
Well, the guy that shot the Bigfoot, there's a mom, an adult, and there's two little ones that came out of the bush after he shot the big one.
Or no, he shot the little one.
No, he shot the big one,
Okay.
and then he shot the little one too.
I'm telling you, things merge in my mind. So
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, that was a family of them. There's some shooting going on up there. There was a family of them, and I think maybe the reason why there was like a lot of action at that time when we went to the location was that maybe they were coming back to see where the body was or something. I don't know, but yeah, there was a family of them. Definitely a family of them. And there's a lot of reports of families, Bigfoot families. They do travel in groups. I know that because there's so many reports out there. The Bigfoot family. It's it's a common thing.
Yeah, and if you listen to a lot of these encounters and stuff, I don't know. I think probably what mainly people are seeing is someone that's more on the protective end, and then the families maybe further in. But I'm not going to be that person that says, "Hey, Bigfoot, I'm going to go past you and go find what's past you." Right. I think most people just turn and burn and get the heck out of there, which makes sense because we'd be like a little swizzle stick for them.
Oh, absolutely.
But if you think about it, I mean, pretty much, what primates do you hear of that have precocial young that they just leave alone and don't spend time with? I mean, we raise our children, for 18 years. Usually about year 15, they want to get rid of us, but we still force them to stay with us. But we raise children. Other primates and apes, they raise their children. So I would say that there's definitely the whole family unit thing, and maybe we're just the large amount of stories is a protective mother or a protective father kind of figure.
Interesting. Yeah, because you think about the who was it? Albert Ostman? Was that the story with Albert Ostman?
Yeah, he got kidnapped.
Yeah, the guy that got captured in a sleeping bag.
Yeah, yeah. You know what's funny about that story? This is before I know anything about Bigfoot. Maybe I did, but I just didn't think of it much. I was a kid. I was that was one of our camp hosts from church. He was like, "Hey, I don't want to scare you kids, but you guys want to hear this story? I'll tell you guys, And he mentioned this story. I didn't know it was the Albert Osmond story, but I was probably like 12 or something at the time, and he said something about him this kid or this man sleeping in his sleeping bag, and the Bigfoot carried him away on his shoulder and stuff like that. And I always remember it, but then now as an adult, when I hear the story, I'm like, oh, that's what it was. That was the story he was telling me. That was but I think that story is real. How the Bigfoot was trying to get him to mate with one of the daughter Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if you can make that up. I don't know. It's an incredible story. The thing about the tobacco.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that, the tobacco.
Yeah. What did he say? He gave it tobacco and it started chewing or something.
It screamed. It didn't like it.
Yeah, really? Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I believe that one. Because there's actually a video out there of him talking about it too. Because that story it may seem kind of old, but it's not. It's pretty. I mean, the guy's probably dead now, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually him kind of retelling the story.
Or
Yeah.
you got the other story too of the guys. The I guess they were hunters hunters and they shot one and they ended up in a cabin and I guess the Bigfoot attacked that night. And they were throwing big boulders and stuff at the side of the
No,
cabin.
Ape Canyon.
Yeah, Ape Canyon.
Yeah, Ape Canyon. That was a project they out there. I don't know if they found a cabin, but that was a project trying to find that location. Um, because these were gold prospectors, and
Uh-huh.
they're just out there looking for gold. Um,
That's what it was.
yeah. So that's a very believable story. Why would they tell that story if they were? Why would they make up that story, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is it possible they made up that story to make
Scare people away.
to make
possibly?
sure scare people away so people won't come to the gold site? I don't know, but I don't know.
But they wouldn't have had to make it so elaborate. I mean, that if I wanted to scare people off, I would keep it short, sweet, and very aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
But that story is it happened over a large period of time, and it's not like I mean, if you're out there gold prospecting, you can say, yeah, Bob was with us and I never saw Bob again, that kind of thing. They could have really amped it up if they wanted to scare people away permanently.
Yeah, and in the story, they mentioned the encounter with this thing, like they shot at it and stuff like that. I think you were making it out. You said, yeah, something scared us in the cabin, and screamed and tried to take our guns, but they were very detailed about what happened prior to all that, and so they wanted to make up a story. They would just spin that cabin. They wouldn't mention the stuff that happened prior. But yeah, but I think they found the place. I think finally, but that place is like, I think they found some artifacts from that cabin. But I forgot what happened in that project. But I was trying to help them with that project and trying to get people aware. Become aware of this place, maybe preserve it, because it is a big part of Bigfoot history. I think. Ape Canyon, and you got the Albert Osmond story, but at least with Ape Canyon, there's a physical location you can preserve.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you say to people who, like I was up in Happy Camp. I've been up there. Those Bigfoot guys are all over there. They got the bright green SUVs with Bigfoot on the side and all that going on. I got to go at the museum looking at the footprints.
Yeah.
What do you say to just the general public who want to go out and look for it?
You know what? I think probably the best way, if you just want to get out there and look for signs, the first thing you could do is just go out, go for a hike, be aware of what you're looking at, and try to solve the things. The thing is, there's a lot of people who are absolute skeptics. They say, no, Bigfoot does not exist, but they're still Bigfoot hunters because it gives them a purpose of going out there in the forest. They want to prove that it doesn't exist, that kind of thing. And they go out there and they find evidence, and then they try to disprove how this evidence isn't, a Bigfoot and stuff like that. So if you're more of a skeptic person, there's plenty of skeptics out there that are out there looking too. And it's just a matter of being situationally aware, what's going on, keep an eye out for things that don't belong. Like if you're going out and about here in Northern California, we have black bears, and if you're seeing the tree is torn up at 20 feet above your head, that is kind of a bit of an odd thing because the bear would not be scratching it at that height. Their maximum reach is far below that. So those are the kind of things that you go out there and just look around.
Yeah, one of the things I learned as a newbie when I was going Bigfoot hunting with these Bigfoot researchers is that they're always looking for tracks. For me as a newbie, when I had my camera with me, my Sony camera, just filming everything, I just never look at the ground. But when I started to look at where I'm walking, that's actually a lot of tracks on the ground that you're not aware of. And I went to Slide Park a couple years ago, and I'm so attuned to looking for tracks, like when I'm going hiking, whatever. So I saw like a big old footprint, barefoot, not barefoot, but barefoot, like nothing,
Yeah,
no shoes.
naked.
They on the mud. It's massive, and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. You all see the toes and everything, the mid tarsal break, everything, and I'm like blown away, right? And I'm like, well, who's gonna be excited as I am? It's like we have friends who came with us too. I'm like, they probably just think it's another footprint, of something, but for me, it's massive. But yeah, the point is, if you do what these Bigfoot researchers do, is just keep an eye on the ground everywhere you go. There's tracks everywhere. And that's why when you see Bigfoot researchers, taking pictures of these tracks, that's because they're out looking for tracks. Really, that's really the only evidence, really, unless you find an arm or something.
Right.
That's the only physical evidence you got. But correct me if I'm wrong. Don't these new iPhones have a LiDAR scanner now?
Yeah, that's
Yes,
why.
they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a new person that's heading out there, I would not say buy the iPhone just to do that. But, get out there and start familiarizing yourself with what different tracks look like. Learn what a bear double step looks like. That's kind of the big one that everybody says, oh, bear double step. So if you learn what you're looking for, then you're like, oh, this is not a bear double step. And then, take a picture of it, make sure you save where that location was. And that's the start of your whole little research folder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of times after a sighting and you report it to the BFRO, they'll go looking for tracks. I mean, that's the most obvious thing to look for.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that's what these. And yeah, when a lot of times the really good sightings reports, they have the evidence, which is the tracks, and they can elaborate more on what's going on and stuff like that.
Yeah, and if you're planning on going out there, there's a lot of good videos out there about making little kits to carry with you that, in case you see something really strange, you can collect it and go home and research it later. Like if you see some strange hairs, you get home and you look at it and you're like, oh, and what's the worst thing that comes out of it? Either A, you found something that you cannot identify and then you need to reach out more to other people, or B, you learn something about nature. Yeah, there's, it could go either way. And either way, I think it's fine. It's good. So I highly recommend, as long as you do what you're capable of, your area and stuff like that, go out there and just explore the world.
Fabulous. Guys, it's been a great 90 minutes. It's been fun talking to you. I'm glad
I didn't
we
even know
did
it was
this.
that long.
Yeah. We just blew right through. I'm so excited. This was really fun. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks for having us on.
And we would love to have you on again sometime.
We love it.
And if you want to plug your Facebook site and plug a website or anything like that, go ahead and do it right now.
Well, we've got the Bigfoot Evidence Facebook page. If you type it up there, you'll see a little emoji looking character. That's our Facebook page. We also run squatchable.com. So like Sasquatchable, but just squatchable.com. Bigfootevidence.blogspot.com. That's got a lot of old stuff.
Yeah, we don't update that anymore.
Yeah. And then there's the Bigfoot Evidence, all one word, on YouTube.
Yeah, you type Bigfoot Evidence 2 words on YouTube, you won't find us.
Okay.
But it's one word, Bigfoot Evidence, you'll find us.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good stories on there.
Yeah, and if you go way back on the YouTube channel, you can see a lot more about the Justin Smea stuff if you're new to that whole story. We still got Justin Smea stuff up on there, right? Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
I'll have to look and see. We had to clean up the YouTube channel because of YouTube. YouTube's YouTube. So
yeah, you can't talk about any shootings or anything like that. So
yeah, and unfortunately, that story has a lot of shooting talk in it. So
All right. awesome. Well, thank you very much. And again, I'd like to touch base with you later on, or maybe do a show later on with you guys and see what's going on in the world of Bigfoot.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, you're in Sacramento, so maybe we can go Bigfooting together.
Sounds good.
Or go ghost hunting.
Or go ghost hunting. I can do that. Absolutely. Okay, guys, thanks a lot. I
yes,
appreciate
take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, well, that was a pretty fun show. I've always been interested in that topic, and I know a lot of people are. I'm sorry, I'm actually in a real comfy chair tonight, so I keep slouching down. But anyway, we'll be back next week, hopefully, because it is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I think. And it's, let's see if we can get a guest in here. Might be paranormal, might be some wonderful cause for somebody. So we'll have to see who we got, who's coming in. But I can tell you guys that there's a lot going on with this show. Tonight we got to broadcast on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. And we're probably going to be broadcasting via Periscope as well. That's coming up. And probably the way the interest in this show is going with people that want to be on now, we're probably looking at either going to the 2-hour format for a different guest, for each hour, or I'm going to go to a Monday, Wednesday format with it to get some more airtime. So we'll see how that flies. And again, be on the lookout for our Patreon. We're going to have our California Haunts newsletter up there, and you guys can have join membership for that. Again, we are nonprofit, so all this stuff comes out of my pocket to finance the internet here and the shows and whatnot. So if you have a few bucks, I hate to beg. This is like PBS. But if you have a few bucks to loan, you can see our or to put in. You can see our ticker running at the bottom, and that's where you do it at PayPal. It'll help a great deal to keep us on the air, and I can book a lot more guests and whatnot. But it was fun tonight, and I will see you guys next week. Okay? Talk to you later.